12 years ago, my family erased me like I never existed. No calls, no holidays, just silence. Now, out of nowhere, an elegant wedding invitation arrives, gold-trimmed and cold, with my estranged sister's name next to the man who once humiliated me. No apology, no explanation, just a seat at a celebration built on lies. It started off bad, but the ending, you won't believe it. Type 1 below if you're ready to find out what happened next. But what if I told you the bride stole my future, the groom buried my career, and my own mother forged a DNA test to erase me? Back then, I was just a girl trying to be heard in a house that only valued silence and obedience. I remember the shift like it happened yesterday, the moment I went from daughter to disgrace. It started with a necklace. My mother's prized diamond pendant had gone missing, and I was the scapegoat. I hadn't taken it. I hadn't even touched it. I'd only gone into her room to unplug my sister Kala's curling iron, left on and dangerously hot. But when the necklace couldn't be found, all eyes turned to me. My sister cried the right amount of tears. My mother didn't hesitate. "You've always been selfish," she snapped, like it was a truth she'd been storing for years. My father didn't yell. He didn't need to. His disappointment was quieter, heavier. "Disappointment follows you like a shadow," he muttered. No proof, no fairness. Just the assumptions that if something was wrong, I must be the cause. The necklace never turned up, not in my room, not anywhere. But the damage was done. I wasn't grounded. I wasn't even punished. I was erased. Family dinners went on without me. Conversations stopped when I entered the room. My phone privileges disappeared. So did my ride to school, and slowly, so did my friends. The house didn't yell, it went silent. Kala smirked when I passed her in the hallway, like she knew she'd finally won. And it didn't stop there. That was just the beginning. When I left for college, I thought I was escaping the silence. Instead, it followed me. A blog post appeared online, anonymous, but unmistakable in tone, filled with lies about me, that I stole, that I manipulated professors, that I played the victim. It cost me a research grant and nearly my education. I couldn't prove it was Kala, but deep down I knew. And through it all, my parents never reached out, not once, not when I graduated, not when I launched my startup, not even when I got married. Then after more than a decade of nothing, the invitation came, cream-colored, thick stock. My name written in the same calligraphy I hadn't seen since I was a teenager. No message inside, no "we miss you," just a name that chilled me, Desmond Hale. The man who once dismissed me in a boardroom now marrying the sister who ruined me, that wasn't a coincidence. That was bait, and they didn't expect me to bite. But what they didn't know is that I'm no longer the girl they threw away. I didn't just survive, I rebuilt. And now I'm ready to walk back into the fire they thought would destroy me. Still, I'd be lying if I said that invitation didn't shake something loose in me. It cracked open a vault I thought I'd buried, memories I'd locked away just to keep breathing. It wasn't just the silence that cut me, it was what lived inside it. The lies, the betrayals, the slow erasure of everything I ever was or hoped to be. And at the center of it all stood Kala, the golden girl, the one they believed, protected, celebrated, no matter who she hurt along the way. Kala didn't just get what she wanted, she took it. She took my space in the family, my voice, my future. And when she couldn't silence me with smiles and fake sisterhood, she resorted to sabotage. That blog post in college? It wasn't some angry student venting anonymously. It was her. I knew it from the phrasing, the timing, the cruel precision of each lie. She didn't want to just get ahead. She needed me to fall behind. That post cost me credibility, friends, and nearly my degree. I was accused of stealing, manipulating, playing the victim. And just like when we were kids, no one questioned it. But the final blow came when she stole my research. It was my senior thesis, a community-based nutritional model designed to support food-insecure neighborhoods. I spent months building it from real interviews, local data, sleepless nights fueled by vending machine coffee and hope. Kala showed up one night claiming she was in the neighborhood. I was exhausted, desperate for someone to tell me I was doing something worthwhile. So I showed her every chart, every paragraph, every dream tied to that project. A week later, the folder was gone from the student drive. The backup I submitted was incomplete and underwhelming. I didn't win the Women in Health Sciences scholarship. Kala did. She accepted it at the spring gala in a shimmering white dress while my name was nowhere on the program. I watched my parents beam with pride, clapping like she'd just discovered a cure for cancer. "She works harder than you think," my dad had said. "You could learn from her." I learned that in our family, truth meant nothing unless it looked good on paper. I learned that being right didn't matter, only being believable. And I learned that Calla would always walk away clean, no matter the mess she left behind. But now, years later, that mess is catching up. I printed the LinkedIn article that credited her with my research and slid it into a folder, already thick with blog screenshots, transcripts, timelines. It wasn't about revenge. It was about truth, about showing myself that I didn't imagine it, that I wasn't crazy, that they didn't just forget me, they deliberately erased me. And now, piece by piece, I'm building the record they tried so hard to bury. Because when the time comes, I won't just speak, I'll have proof. Still, part of me hesitated. Not from doubt, but from conditioning. When you grow up in a house where truth is punished and silence rewarded, even justice feels dangerous. But that feeling didn't stop me. It focused me, so I did what I always do when the noise in my head gets too loud. I walked. At Pike Place Market, where the world smells like tulips and espresso, I retraced old steps. The smell of fish, fresh bread, damp pavement, it grounded me. But it also brought it all back. The weight of being 16, the isolation. The moment I realized facts didn't matter in my family, only optics. That memory dug itself out of the past like it had just been waiting. I remembered what followed. The missing necklace, the cruel blog post, the stolen thesis. But what I hadn't remembered, what I had avoided remembering, was the DNA test, the one my mother forged. The envelope had no return address. It arrived out of nowhere, tucked between generic papers, looking official. But the result was impossible. Inconclusive maternal match. It said Vivian Moore might not be my biological mother. At the time, I didn't want to believe it, but my name was removed from the family will just 6 months later. The message was clear. I didn't belong, not even legally. I'd shoved it all into a drawer back then, convinced it was just another emotional attack. But now, as I pieced together the puzzle, I pulled it back out, and I started digging. With Jareth's help, we traced the lab that issued the test, Pacific Diagnostics. It didn't take long to learn it was a shell company, shut down for fraud. One of the doctors had lost his license. But what made my blood go cold was the payment, $5,000 wired to a P.O. box right before the report was issued. The sender, Vivian Moore. My mother hadn't just lied. She'd fabricated my entire erasure. On paper, I didn't exist, which meant if anything went wrong, tax audits, identity questions, legal matters, I'd have no protection. I wasn't just disowned, I was set up. That night I drafted a letter, not a rant, not a plea, just the truth. One sentence stood out, undo it, or I'll do it publicly, and I meant every word. The next day, I received a plain white envelope. Inside, a hospital report, redacted but explosive. A pediatric patient placed into a coma due to Calla's negligence. No consequences, no charges, just strings pulled, reputation protected. But the nurse who sent it added one line. You deserve to know what really happened. That was it. That was the moment I stopped playing defense. I encrypted every file, organized the timeline, labeled folders with facts and fire. I didn't go to war with emotion. I went with strategy. Because this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about accountability. And when they tried to bait me with that wedding invitation, they didn't realize I wasn't coming to make peace. I was coming to reclaim power. The Grand Solace shimmered under the Seattle rain like a monument to everything I was never meant to be a part of. Opulence, control, curated perfection. But I didn't flinch. I walked through those glass doors in a navy silk dress that hugged my back like a battle flag. I wasn't there to blend in. I came to be seen. And they saw me. The ballroom turned to glass when I entered. Conversations faltered, faces stiffened. Vivian's fingers clenched around her champagne flute. Calla's smile thinned into something brittle. And Desmond, his expression shifted from confusion to dread in a single blink. No one expected me to show. That was their first mistake. Dinner moved forward, but the tension was a pulse under every bite. Toasts began, shallow praise wrapped in polished lies. Then I stood, calm, steady. I'd like to say a few words, I said, lifting my glass. Every eye locked on me. To truth, I began, pausing long enough for discomfort to settle. And those who fake it. Calla's face cracked like old porcelain. Her eyes darted to Vivian, then to Desmond. I continued, pulling a slim folder from my clutch and handing it to him. Your bride claimed to have earned her medical credentials with honors from Pacific University. But these transcripts, well, let's just say they don't match. Desmond flipped through the documents, confusion shifting into anger. Is this true? He asked Calla, voice low, dangerous. But she said nothing, couldn't. The room buzzed with whispers. Vivian stood, voice sharp. Rowena, enough. No, I said evenly. Enough was 12 years ago when you forged a DNA test to erase me from your life. Gasps scattered like broken glass across marble floors. I turned back to Calla. You built a career on stolen work, falsified records, and a malpractice scandal no one dared speak about. Until now. Mike Desmond stepped back like the ground had opened beneath him. I defended you, he said to Calla, shaking. To everyone. Then, without another word, he walked out. She tried to follow, but the room stayed still. Her audience evaporated. Her reputation, polished for years, crumbled in a single breath. Vivian's composure cracked for the first time. But I didn't stay to watch the collapse. I didn't need to. I'd planted the truth, and the silence that followed was theirs to carry now. Outside, the air was crisp, clean. I breathed it in like clarity. But it wasn't over yet, not until every lie was dust. The next day, I made sure anonymous tips, with receipts, landed in inboxes of independent watchdogs, media outlets, and the medical board. Records of Calla's past, the coma, the bribery, the truth. And when Vivian showed up at my door, shaking with rage, I opened it without fear. You always wanted to be the martyr, she hissed. No, I replied. I just stopped protecting the people who never protected me. And then I closed the door behind her, for good. I thought it would feel like victory, like fireworks or a storm clearing. But what came next wasn't noise, it was silence. Not the sharp silence of rejection or fear, but something softer, calmer. A stillness I hadn't known in years. 2 weeks passed. No reporters outside my door, no lawyers. No more tightly written voicemails from Vivian trying to spin her narrative back into control. Calla never called, not even a fake apology. I didn't expect her to. But Desmond surprised me. He sent one message. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I stared at the screen for a long moment before replying. I believe you. But I don't need anything from you anymore. And I meant it. Because letting go doesn't always come with closure. Sometimes it just comes with choice. And I chose peace. Gregory's medical license was suspended. The Moore Clinic was frozen pending investigation. IRS audits started rolling in. Vivian had gone quiet. No interviews, no charity events, no press appearances. Seattle's elite had finally stopped calling her name like it meant something golden. And Calla? Word was she left the city, quietly, desperately, like a shadow trying to outrun the sun. Maybe she's in a new town, repackaging the same old lies. Maybe she's trying to start over. But me? I'm not watching her anymore. I'm watching me. I walk into my downtown office now without flinching. My team smiles when I enter. Genuine smiles, not the rehearsed ones I grew up around. No one whispers when I turn my back. They listen when I speak. They believe me without needing footnotes. That afternoon, Miriam, my first boss, the one who gave me a broom and dignity when I had neither, showed up with sunflowers. You made it out, she said, eyes glistening. I had to, I replied. There was no air left in there. Jareth reached across the dinner table that night, his hand finding mine. He didn't speak, he didn't need to. You gave them every chance, he finally said. And when they still chose lies over love, you didn't let them take you down with them. I nodded, too full. Not from food, but from clarity. For so long I thought justice had to look like punishment, but maybe, just maybe, it looks like release. I still hadn't deleted the last voicemail Vivian left. I don't know why. Maybe because I wanted to remember what control sounds like when it cracks. Her voice was tight, panicked, trying to sound powerful. You'll regret this. But I didn't. Not for a second. Because when I woke up the next morning, sunlight streaming through my window, there was no weight on my chest, no dread, just air, quiet, whole, and mine. They may never say sorry, they may never admit the truth, but I no longer need to hear it. I am free. And if you've ever been silenced, erased, or made to doubt your worth, hear me when I say this. You don't need their permission to reclaim your story. You just need to start writing it.